in deserving reward, because HSUS doesn't just give out awards willy-nilly. It's actually to people who commit themselves to passing and then do pass important legislation. So it's always inspiring on a day like this to see how many of you care enough about animal issues to take time out from your busy lives to come up here to Albany. I share your commitment, and whether it's animals that are our companions or animals for at the farm or animals in the ocean. The way a person treats an innocent animal is a good indication of how they treat their fellow human beings. And that is one of the reasons that animal protection and advocacy is so important. There's been a long connection, but only recently realized that people, mostly children who start off abusing their animals, go on to commit heinous crimes against people. And that is one measure of their character, the way they treat the most helpless among them. And that is true in all religions. There's a mention of how to treat animals, and how you have to put them before you at times when you're their guardian, because they are helpless without you. But the animals in New York State are not helpless because they have all of them. And they do have a lot of legislators who care to devote time to passing bills that will protect them. HSUS is obviously one of the biggest, most prominent organizations in this nation, and probably outside of here as well, that fights really hard for animals. So one of the bills that I've had, and that I've had for some years, concerns the protection of farm animals. In California, where they have referendum, and we don't have that here in New York State, so we have to pass things through legislation, they passed a proposition that protected egg-laying hens, veal, and pregnant sows who were kept confined in cages. Factory farms seem to have this obsession with cages and containing animals, especially at their most vulnerable when they're about to give birth. So I introduced, some years ago, the Farm Animal Protection Act with the collaboration of the Humane Society that would ban these practices here in New York State. It's very hard to pass farm animal bills here in New York State because the Farm Bureau is such a potent lobby. So while I was trying here and allies were trying to push it through here in New York State, HSUS conducted a campaign across the country with the egg producers of America, and they've reached a deal that will make that part of my bill unnecessary. So I salute Patrick and everyone who worked on that. I've removed the portion about the egg-laying hens from my bill. So now it concerns veal and pigs. Hopefully, because there are a lot of egg producers here in the state, they will let up on their criticism of this bill and let it go through. But I need your help. And that's true about all these bills that you are here today to advocate for. There are a couple of things that happen with people who are concerned about animals. First of all, you send the most email and the most snail mail, you make the most phone calls, and you are among maybe the top group of advocates in this state because you care so passionately about the cause, and because your cause cannot speak for themselves, obviously. So you redouble your voices. So every legislator knows, and I learned this when I got here, you will get the most adulation from the people who care about animals because you do something, but you have to listen to them and you have to engage with them because they will also not vote for you. I mean, some of you are single-issue voters, and that's your choice, but the legislators have to know that you mean business. So part of your job when you are here today visiting legislators is to convey that to them, that you're an active citizen that you vote, you live in their district, or your friends or family live in their district, and the way you judge whether you will support them or any legislator on any level of government is how they view animal issues. Don't say this in a threatening way, just say it as a matter of fact. Say, I took time out of my day, I got up at 4 in the morning to get on a bus and come here because this is so important to me. And this is just one example of my commitment to animal issues because I go out to campaign for people who support animal rights and animal welfare. And this is how I vote. Just lay it out there. Then you tell them about the bills. And you know, we can go through that, but I'm sure Patrick will also provide you with some guidance. The one problem I see is that sometimes people view animal people as crazy. And you know about that. And it's just that they don't understand. But because you're so vociferous and you are so insistent, and there are some people out there on every issue who are on the fringe. But people say, oh, the animal people. When they meet you, you will dispel that because you're just regular people who are committed to the issue. But that's part of your job also, to dispel that notion that you're all crazy and all you care about is like, you know, feeding feral cats. Although that'd be good. So make sure to, you know, present that image. And I see all of you look quite normal. At least to me, and maybe I'm an animal crazy, I don't know. You have a number, okay, so after you do that, don't leave before you get a commitment. Now maybe they can say, I don't know, I have to think about it, which is fine, they should think about it if they are not convinced at the moment. Then you say to them, fine, I will call your office next week and check on what you have decided. So they need to know that you might disappear today, but you're not gone, because you are going to follow them. You are going to dog them. Because it's important, that's why you're here, to make sure they adopt some of your commitment to these bills and these animal issues. Now, as I said before, it is hard in this state legislature to get animal bills through. I've been tenacious, and luckily, every year I've been here 6 years, I've passed one animal bill at least. I have like 20 more to pass before I even introduce new ones. But it's very difficult. And hopefully that will change as more and more of you come up. There was an article in the Times yesterday, I believe, about how more and more people are going vegan. And that's really quite astounding in an environment where, in New York City at least, every block gets a new burger joint, every half an hour or two. So consciousness about vegan and vegetarian and how it's better not to eat meat, which then leads to better to treat animals in a compassionate, caring way, I think is starting to pervade the national consciousness. But it's you guys who have to make sure that the legislators here actually hear it and absorb it and realize that they are responsible to you because you keep them in their jobs. That's the bottom line for most everyone. So you have a variety of interesting bills. You have my farm bill. You have the shark fin bill, which was just introduced, and it would be tremendous if we could pass it this year. I mean, I'm very hopeful because it has a high profile. It's been in the New York Times. It's been all over the place. The shark population is being decimated across the world. It has a huge impact on the health of the oceans, and it's really very, very important. And you go do your thing on that. The canned chute. The canned chute has been around for a while, but people need to understand that we finally have to pass it. It's very important. And you say, you know what, I'm tired of coming up here every year talking about this. We need to pass this so we can move on to other legislation that needs to be done in protection of animals. And then the last one.